Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Erin's Expeditions, where we talk everything Christ and entertainment. I'm your host, Erin Patience, and today I brought the one and only. It was so nice, I had to bring her back twice. We have V in the house.
Ooh, hey guys, I'm back by popular demand.
By popular demand. Okay, so before we started this episode, you saw me being like,
Yeah, freaking out.
yeah. So, if you've been on the internet for quite some time,
Hopefully, I have been.
you probably saw a certain space in the interwebs that talks about beef between two American rappers.
Oh, that's what we're talking
Mainly
about.
Kendrick Lamar and our boy Drake. Yeah, if you know anything, let me know, because I did some research and I was like, it's not my scene anymore. Like I told you, like,
Yes.
yo, back in 2015, girl, I used to be on a certain music channel, and I was like, yeah. I love this. And then I just like grew out of like listening to that music. So now like I'm more like within like indie music and pop and all those things. But yeah, so I used to know quite a lot. Oh my gosh,
Ooh, our lights. Anyway.
I used to know quite a lot about like hip hop and rap and everything.
Yeah.
But I had to do some research, and I was like, what's the beef? Why am I hearing a lot?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you know anything.
Honestly, I haven't been that into it. I remember my brother was like, have you heard the songs? And I was like, not really. Other than because I'm on TikTok, I'm only getting what is on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
So that's like little snippets because everybody's talking about it. But I don't know. I think it started off with Drake disrespecting Kendrick, or J. Cole disrespected Kendrick, and then Kendrick went into Drake, and then J. Cole apologized,
and then like I see like a rapper named Pusha T also in there. I'm like, I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that man is.
We just go, I guess. Yeah. So as I was like thinking about everything, I was like, where does forgiveness and cancel culture come into this? But cancel culture in terms of when you are the one instigating it. You know what I mean?
You instigating cancel culture, or you instigating the beef?
Like you're instigating both, like the canceling and the thing, you know. And I was like I get, like what came to mind while prepping was, like I get when people, like when you're disrespected, but I feel like instead of making a diss track, make a discussion. You know,
have a conversation.
Like let's talk about this, and we don't need the entire world to know what's going on. And I understand that, like, you know, music can be a platform for like getting it out of your like system.
Yeah,
but to what degree? You know?
I think with me, I'll get to the cancel culture part. I just want to touch on the beef part. I do think with beef, especially in the creative space, is more especially in the music scene, right?
Yeah.
I think that pride plays a role in it. Having so much pride, like when you have so much pride, you don't want to be disrespected. Obviously, nobody wants to be disrespected, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm saying when you have so much pride, like the moment you are disrespected, it's like all hell breaks loose. And that's how I spoke about how I was in high school. Like that was me. Like if someone disrespected me, obviously in the beginning I'll be like, don't disrespect me, or else don't disrespect me, or else. But I think don't do it if you don't want the repercussions. But I think mainly it came from also a sense of pride, like my pride, and like the fact that you disrespected me was like, you really had some nerve, right?
Me, my
so
household,
I think
my chickens,
exactly
my everything.
So I think it's a pride thing more importantly. But sometimes I do think in the entertainment space, they always say any publicity is good publicity. That's right? If true. You want, and people like people talking is better than people not talking like, about. People are eating
They're
it up.
like, and I'm like,
they're like waiting for volume 7 from Kendrick's. Just like Kendrick is coming with a 7th track. Like people are eating it up, but at the same time, people are consuming the music, and in their world, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes these beefs can be so exaggerated because of the fact that it's the entertainment industry. We want people to click and all of that. So in that sense, I think that sometimes I also have a hard time believing that. I do think certain beefs start off small, and then because they get caught up in everything, then the beefs become real.
Yo.
Because you like going back and forth, and at first it was like, haha, it was a kind of like a joke, or it was something light, but now it's hectic. So yeah, I don't know. You were saying something about cancel culture. What did you say about cancel culture? Sorry.
Cancel culture. So like while like prepping for this episode, I was like, okay, like cancel culture personally, I am not a fan of it because I find that like cancel culture, it's not accountability. Like there's like a difference.
I was thinking about that.
Like like there's like a difference between keeping someone accountable, like accountable for their deeds, and just flat out like canceling them.
Yes.
Because like cancel culture has this like mob mentality, like I'm gonna remove you from all platforms. You don't have any right to ever like live or breathe or whatever again. And then accountability comes with, I'm taking you away from this platform, but you need to grow to get it back. You need to change for the better to get it back. Like you have to bear the consequences and the responsibility.
I was thinking, it's funny you said that word, because that's the first thing that came to my mind. Especially, I absolutely dislike cancel culture. In a sense where most of the time that's the first thing we jump to, even if that is somebody's first mistake, right? I don't like it in that sense. I do think it can be useful in certain areas with certain peoples or organizations that are purely evil. Right? In those instances I can understand. But I think for me the biggest thing, and the biggest thing is I've seen it also in the Christian space, and that's what hurts me the most, because it's like, what gives us the right to cancel people when God hasn't canceled them? Who am I to cancel someone if God hasn't canceled them? Like until Jesus comes back, it's not over for any of us. Even the most terrible murderer, anything can happen. They can change their life at any moment. So who are we to determine this person needs to be cancelled? You know what I mean? So for me, when it comes to from us as a Christian community, it hurts me because I think we are focusing on the wrong thing. We are focusing on cancelling, but we are not focusing on the word account, like
holding someone accountable,
right? And accountable doesn't mean that we are judging them, but we are saying, okay, this and this is what you did. This and this and this is wrong. But how do we move forward from
like
that?
Having that intentional point of there will be growth.
Yes.
Like, and you have to step up to the plate and be like, I know I did wrong, and I know. But I think also like we as a generation, and I'm including myself because it's me too, is like the moment someone speaks against something you do, immediately you're like, oh, you have beef with me. And like sometimes it's genuinely just they're holding you accountable. They're calling you to be like higher than the way you've been acting.
I saw literally a TikTok. I don't know if you know Megan Ashley. It's just this black woman who's a podcaster, but she had
she did a podcast with Brenda Palmer and with Jackie Hill.
Like,
her podcast is called, I think, what's it called? I literally watched the episode yesterday night.
Anyway, but she had this other guy. I haven't watched the actual full episode, but there was this white guy that came in, and he said, first instinct for us is when somebody tells us what to do or advise us in the right path, the first instinct is to reject it. And I feel like that is absolutely true. So with accountability, I think it's important in our lives to be accountable to someone, because there's always, at the end of the day, okay, let me give a church structure.
Yeah.
This is the best way I can practically explain it.
Yeah.
But in the church, you have different levels of people. You have different departments. Those departments account to one main department, and that one big main department that like the church elders and stuff like that, they account to the pastor, and the pastor is the one that accounts to God. That's how things work, right, in the church. And I think in the body of Christ, not only in the church, that's how life is working, right? So in our lives, even the way we walk, I think I like the fact that you spoke about how you have an accountability partner, because it's like we need to keep each other accountable, and it doesn't have to be like a strict. Your accountability partner can be your friend, right? It doesn't have to be someone who's like far-fetched, but keeping each other accountable is very important. So I think in the church we're missing that aspect, and we're quick to say, nah bruh, you did this, so therefore it's done. But I do think also there's a thin line between holding people accountable and also telling them, now your chances are over. And I think the other thing I think of is that in church, or in the church, and I say the church as in
like capital C, like
as Christians, yes. I think as the church, we tend to, a person makes, especially we hold certain people to a higher standard than we hold ourselves. And I had this conversation with my younger brother, and I'm like, we do this a lot, and this is something God had to correct me on, right? Yes, pastors and leaders are held at a high standard, but it doesn't mean that their standard and your standard are different.
Because we flat out, we serve the same God.
Yes, we serve the same God.
His standards does not change just because
this one is a leader and you are not. The same way you fall in private, we are supposed to be holding people accountable but showing them grace. For example, there's certain things in your life personally that you are doing that are not according to God's word, but nobody knows about them, because why? You're in secret. But because an elder or a leader is out in the open, especially now in social media, like a lot of leaders are like publicly, everything they do is out in the open, right? It's not easy to have secrets when you're out in the open. So with those leaders, we have such a microscope on them that the moment that they do the same mistake that you do in private, we say it's done. They need to, it's over for them. They should never be on the pulpit anymore. They should never this. And again, that's why I'm saying there is a link between accountability, knowing that people's actions also have a consequence, right? So with those type of situations, if someone did something and slipped once, twice, we need to talk about it. And that's why we have things like counseling. We're supposed to have those things in the church. It not only have like just any old counselor, but have a therapist. Have a therapist that is saved, so you can talk about through these processes and find out why you did something.
Also, like, that's like a big thing, is like when you do go to like counseling or therapy or any like type of like professional help, to have people that understand your situation,
your faith,
like your faith, or whatever. Because like when I went to therapy, like I would say certain stuff and like she would get it, but then I'm like, but also to a degree, like she won't get it. Like nothing on her. She was she helped me. But also it was nice for me to get a different perspective, But yeah, I found this quote. It is quite lengthy, but bear with me, y'all, bear with me. So it's by, I think it's like an article thing by the University of Kansas.
Okay.
So we're hopping all the way to America for this one. Okay. Cancel culture. Reducing conversations surrounding accountability to hateful comments, bolstered with screaming, obscenities, and even death threats. Because nothing says, I'm correct, like wishing death upon someone, right? Rather than engaging in a respectful discourse, disagreements among adults now resemble of a toddler throwing a tantrum, not getting a new shiny toy. Our current approach to accountability is thus: you make a mistake, you are stripped of the opportunity to rectify your actions. And I was like, wow, punch to the literal gut.
And this is not even a Christian thing.
No, it's literally just like, and I think a lot of people are so, like, we are realizing now, just cancel culture actually does not serve. It's not a platform for you to grow, to rectify your actions, to actually like follow up with responsibility.
It's like cancel culture is actually kicking a person while they're down. Like, that's how I see it a lot of the times, right? Yeah. Because if you really care about that person, also that person's well-being, right? Obviously, maybe from the out, when we're talking about celebrities, it's far-fetched what I'm saying, but I'm saying cancel culture is that thing of, instead of us speaking to the person, right, and talking about what they've done and opening their eyes to a different perspective for them, like, okay, I don't think this is the way you should have went about it, right? Instead of doing that, we're saying you're a terrible person. You don't deserve this, you don't deserve that, right? And for me, we are called to more than that. We are not called to kick a person when they're down. We're not called to humiliate people. But also we need to also understand that the same way, you are not the person you were today. I believe that you might not be the best version of yourself, but at some point you were terrible, right? So if someone canceled you at your terrible point, was that fair to you, to your current you, if that makes sense? So your current version, the version, like, let's say, let me give like this perspective. Let me say 2024 me, right? If she was cancelled in 2017 for the things that she was doing in 2017, is it fair for this version of me, 2024
just
me?
to like live with that, like, repercussions and everything? I get it.
So for me, but again, like I'm saying, most of the time, because certain people are celebrities, we hold them at a different standard, and at the end of the day, we are all human. That's what I feel like it boils down to. And I think God has been working on my heart so much, because I was the quickest person to cancel people, like, honestly. Like, I don't want to lie to you, I was so
you have something
bad
against me?
Cancelled.
There we go. Cancelled.
Any celebrity cancelled.
No subscription anymore
at all, right? So, but God has been highlighting the fact that I was doing things that nobody was seeing.
True.
Right? And God gave me grace.
And like, that's like a thing, like, because like a few weeks ago, like, we briefly spoke about it once, but like a few weeks ago, I was just like me and one of my friends, like, we had beef, as he would say. I was like, bro, we were just cleaning out the cupboard. He was like, Erin, it was beef. I'm like, okay, fine. And what I realized about myself in that moment was, like, I get why God is like slow to anger, slow to speak, quick to listen.
Exactly.
Because me, like, I am like, let's go. Like, you did me wrong, and I will make it a point. You know why? But I won't like take my time, like, rationalize everything, and then still have like this same like points to bring, but I could like deliver it better. So I think also, like, the thing with cancel culture and accountability, it likes to like mask one another, but the one comes out of like pure, like, what I found, like, malice, like, intention. Like, I don't want you to be here anymore. Your time is done. No one deserves to listen to your voice anymore. Whereas accountability is, what you said was wrong because of A, B, C, and D. However, you still have like the opportunity to rectify what you've done. So like, it's just,
I think also the other thing for me that reminds me, guys, the fact that God weighs basically all sin the same. From your lie, your white lie, is equal to theft, is equal to murder. Obviously, on earth, it's not the same. But I'm saying, to God, sin is sin, right? So for me, that made me understand that me cussing somebody out is the same as that person who fought with someone on the internet, or I don't know how to explain it properly. But also the other thing that I have been going back and forth with, right, it's another public person, but the whole Chris Brown situation where he hit someone and he hit Rihanna, right? But that whole situation is like till this day it's following him around. And I think in the beginning I wrestled with he shouldn't be forgiven because he hit her, right? Because from a woman's perspective, I was like, I get it. He hit a woman. I was picturing myself as her, right? And it was wrong. I'm not even justifying what he did was wrong. I do think, obviously we don't know if he has changed or not, but I'm saying people have still to this day haven't given him the opportunity to be the person, maybe a better person, or to even show that I'm not that kind of person anymore, right? There are people who go to prison and get saved. Why do we give them more?
Them of
so
they're like old Adam.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But also I do feel like the people that were in prison, for example, and they leave and they become saved. Some of them become pastors, some of them, and we're like, oh, this is great. And in the church, we're like, oh, this is lovely. But the moment it is like a person that is a celebrity, we're like, no, you did this once. So immediately cancelled. Even if 5 years later they come and present themselves new, we're like, no, we feel like it's a facade. But
I think that's crazy because like I literally like yesterday, how do I say it's like there's someone that I know, okay, and how I've come to know this person is lovely, kind, bearing all the fruits of the spirit, and I'm just so in awe of this person. But now I know someone else who knew like the older version of this person. So like when I talk about, let me say like person A, I'm like, oh my word, they're so kind, and like we have such great banter, and I just really like their wisdom is wow. And like I can see like they went through stuff, but they're out now being like, Aaron, don't mess with those things. So but when I talk to like person B about person A, being like, oh my word, they're so cool, person B would be like, wow,
who are you talking about?
When they were this age, da, 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 da. And every single time I have to be like, Lord, I know I am choosing to believe that the way person A presented themselves to me, I believe that's them. You know?
And it's the version that matters. Right. I think we are very quick to disregard people's growth, and in life you're constantly growing, right? Especially if you're aspiring to be a better person. I know what you're talking about because every time not every time, but a lot of the times when I come in contact with people that I was friends with in high school and they see this version of me, and maybe even the posts that I post, and now I'm posting Bible verses all the time on Instagram, and I'm posting gym videos, and they're like, who is this individual? Because when we knew you when. That's what it is like. So for me it's like we need to allow people grace and the ability to grow, right? And accept them for who they are right now, right? Even though they might not be perfect, they're still striving to be better, right? That's one element. The second thing is, I do feel like, oh gosh, this was an important thought and it's out of my mind. Oh Lord. Oh my gosh, why does this always happen to me? Guys, I actually suffer from tendencies of like my memory is so bad.
Girl, tell me
but
about
anyway, I'll remember. Continue.
But I wanted to like read like, because during the whole beef situation with my friend earlier this year, like I struggled, girl, like I struggled to forgive. But then I realized this is like things that I have to deal with myself. You know, like I was mad at the situation, but I was even more like I was more mad at the principle of it. And I'm like, I wouldn't do you like this. But then again, also being like, I also played a part in all of this.
Sure.
So I need to hold myself accountable, being like, it's not okay for me to be looking at you being like, but you did this and this and this and this. When I also feel stuff. I also said stuff that shouldn't have been said in the way it has been said. I shouldn't have acted in certain ways and everything. And I came to, I think it was like Matthew 18. And I'm like sitting at church reading it. I was silenced. The word silenced me because I was like, Lord, I need to forgive. And even like till this very day, like literally like this morning, like, you know, like when you when you remember stuff from like a thing that happened and you're like, wow, I was taken for a fool.
Yeah.
And then to be like, no, Lord, I have forgiven, and I will continue to choose to forgive them every single day, even if I like backtrack sometimes. But the scripture that came to mind was Matthew 5, verse 44 to 47. It's a lengthy one. Bear with me. Okay. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? If you only greet your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? And I'm like, Lord, I am called out beyond measure, because it's so easy. Like, I will love you until. That's my sentence. I will love you until.
Conditional. ...
And I get it, like, we're human. I won't always like you, but I need to love you.
Yeah.
And I think it's also like a warped way we view love and everything, which is a thing all by itself. But what I've noticed looking at this whole Drake Kendrick thing, not even that, but like looking at like world politics, looking at like people around me and like family members and stuff like that, I'm like, Lord, we are so
even leaders in the church,
girl, same.
Even not even leaders, even people in the church. Yeah, sorry.
Like, we need to learn what forgiveness is. Like, I can hold you accountable.
Forgiveness and grace, guys. I always bring it also back to grace, because I'm so sorry for cutting you. I don't know why God has been highlighting this word grace to me, because grace is something that you do not deserve. It's not mercy, right?
Yeah.
Grace is like, you don't deserve it, but still yet I show you grace, right? So with me, I always put my mind in the space that I did not deserve for Jesus to die for me, but yet he did. I did not deserve for God to send Jesus as a sacrifice for me, yet he did, man. Right? So I think in the church we've become very... Oh, I'm so sorry. It's going to hurt some people. But I do think in the church we have become so selfish.
Yeah.
We want forgiveness. We want to be shown grace. We want this and we want that, but we cannot offer it to another person.
Yo.
So for me, again, it boils down to, guys, I think my biggest principle in life with anything, I always, and it's a saying that I used to hear as a child, but I'd be like, what are you saying?
What do you mean?
But what would Jesus do? Like, that is the principle that I live in, and I'm quick to, I'm slow to speak, but I'm quick to like, okay, cool, this made me feel this way, or I'm not comfortable with what is happening, but let me go speak to God about it, and he will lead me to know how to deal with it. If it means that I need to forgive, Lord, work on my forgiveness.
Girl, and like I told you, like there was a point where I told you about this, but like I can just say girl, so yeah. It's like a whole story, but I was feeling, I just didn't like her. I'm gonna be flat out honest, I did not like her. And I was,
is it the story you told me at Starbucks?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, go on.
Like I just did not like her. And like she didn't do anything to me. And that bothered me, because I'm like, okay, but why don't I like her? Like I was like, and those were things I had to deal with myself. And I'm like, you cannot claim to be like, oh my word, love and compassion, like Lord, you love me, but you are struggling to like give it to people, even people who didn't even do anything to you.
Exactly.
And I had to go and I had to ask her for forgiveness. And she's like, Erin, what are you on about? I'm like, girl, bear with me.
She didn't feel that way.
Nah, I'm like, girl, bear with me. I need to ask for forgiveness, because I've been building up so much like resentment and stuff like towards you. And God was like, you need to deal with this.
Yeah.
Because you're not, like, you are only sacrificing your own well-being, your own soul, your own like you are quenching the spirit by being so like, Yeah. Um. Yeah, man.
I really had a point that it was so important. I don't know why it's out of my head, but it's fine.
Yeah, I think like a topic like this is definitely something that it has to be ongoing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we will ever fully get to like a conclusion unless we decide, yo, it's the end. Because when we look at like world leaders, when we look at family, at friends, at celebrities, at ourselves even, like we need to learn what forgiveness is. And we need to learn like what like true accountability is. Because it's so twisted, it is so warped, where I will only hold you accountable if it fits me. And I'm like, that is so selfish. That is so selfish. Like, literally this morning, an account that I follow on Instagram, love the account. But, like, the person running the account, like, didn't post art stuff anymore. They were, like, posting, like, their, like, personal life stuff. And in a way, how I understand it, like, they were pressuring like their followers to send him money.
Ooh.
And if you don't, you're going to hell. Literally what the caption said. And I was like, what the heck? What is going on? And I go to the comment section being like, what actually is going on? And I'm just reading what people are saying, and I'm like, my heart goes out to this person, but how they're treating their following isn't right. I don't have to say it in the comment section. I don't have to go spit out nasty comments. Yes. I just quietly unfollowed, and that's it.
And if you're really, like you mentioned how now there's no accountability. Now it's like bringing people down. If you really do care about a person and you feel like whoever you've been following or like looking up to is doing something wrong, I'm not saying it will reach them, but you just never know. What I'm saying is, if you really care about that person and you want them to be a better person, then again, accountability. You don't have to embarrass them and comment on their comment like the other 10,000 people. You can hit them up in the DM and say, this is how, and not attacking in the DM. You don't attack. You never attack. You always pray for people. You hold them accountable. But even the way you say stuff is important, right?
So I had to learn that the hard way.
Yep. So you, in the DMs, you speak to the person like you would want to be spoken to if you were the one who did that thing. Right? If you know you wouldn't like to be spoken to in that manner, don't speak to that person in that manner. So I think that is also important. Forgiveness is huge. It's a difficult topic on its own to untackle, because it's easy to forgive certain people than it is to forgive other people. And it's easy to forgive certain situations than it is other situations, right? So it is a lot. But also, sorry, I wanted to say this. Wow. As much as I do emphasize on holding people accountable and showing people grace, I do think the opposite of that, the opposite of people growing is a possibility. Because people can be good people and turn into other people, right? But even in that, we are not called to attack them. We are called to pray for people, right?
Let God take it up.
Yes.
With them.
Pray, guys. There's a lot that also God has been speaking to me about with prayer. Pray for people and pray like you mean it. Ooh, not a prayer like it's a routine or it's something that you're ticking off of a box. Pray with intention, like you're praying for yourself, or you're praying for your child, or you're praying for a person. That's why it says you must love your neighbor as you love yourself. Not as you love your family member, as you love yourself. So you need to treat. That's why even though it's not a verse, but I understand that it could be like something that was inspired by the Bible. But treat others the way you want to be treated. Love others the way you want to be loved. So I think that's what I think.
But I think also, like, when it comes to that, like, we truly do need to learn what, like, I feel like we need, like, us, like, an entire society needs, like, a heavy reset, like a restart on the basic principles of love.
Jeez.
Because, you know, like, you can say, like God
First
is
Corinthians
love. Like
13,
God is
right?
love. Yeah.
First
Yeah, I
Corinthians
think
13. Love
First
is patience.
Corinthians. Yeah, love is
Love is
patient,
kind.
love is kind. Like God is love. That's how it
Yep.
is. But it's not love is God.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
So like you can only like that took me a hot minute to figure out like what do you mean? Like the same thing. I'm like, hold on. If I say God is love, it means God is the principle. He is
The standard.
He's the standard of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
When I say love is God, I can equate whatever I want to what love is, and I just call that God.
God.
And I'm like, what the heck, my brain. But yeah, man, cancel culture is not accountability, and I think that's something we all need to like delve in and really just go into.
And also, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Hold
like
your mouth.
There is bringing awareness and then there's bashing.
Yeah.
Like if it's a thing of okay, there's a lot that we can speak about this cancel culture. I do think it is a difficult topic because there is certain people who make mistake once and we cancel them, and then there's people who the mistake is their lifestyle or the continuation of who they are.
Choose to live like
yes.
that. Yeah.
In that space, we're talking about something different, right? Someone who is intentionally doing evil on others or doing bad on others intentionally.
Whole different conversation.
Then that's a whole different conversation. Right now, we're talking about people who stumble once, twice, and we crucify them. For that. So
you can't do that. Yeah. But yeah, man. Wow. The words were said, guys. It was spoken in totality.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you so much, V, for being on the episode. Yeah, I think a big thing to take away, guys, is just let's go to God for what forgiveness is. I mean, it's pretty evident what forgiveness is. I mean, like the gospel and just the word and the spirit and everything. But yeah, I am going to love and leave and say goodbye. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.